So we're going to pick up right where we left off. Dr. Napier appears to be uncomfortable around me. Sometimes when I try to talk to him, he just looks at me strangely and turns away. I was angry at first when Dr. Strauss told me I was giving Dr. Napier an inferiority complex. I thought he was mocking me, and I'm oversensitive at being made fun of. I'm going to write that down as a new realization for Charlie. Or a realization is that Charlie knows that he is not okay with being made fun of. I think that definitely comes from how often he was made fun of before the operation. How was I to know that a highly respected psycho-experimentalist like Namor was unacquainted with Hindustani and Chinese? It's absurd when you consider the work that is being done in India and China today in the very field of his study. I asked Dr. Strauss how Namor could refute Rahajamati's attack on his method and results if Namir couldn't even read them in the first place. That strange look on Dr. Strauss's face can only mean one of two things. Either he doesn't want to tell Namir what they're saying in India, or else, and this worries me, Dr. Strauss doesn't know either. I must be careful to speak and write clearly and simply so that people won't laugh. I'm going to add here, too, that Charlie is sort of becoming distrustful of the doctors, and he's smarter than they are. May 18th. I am very disturbed. I saw Miss Kinnian last night for the first time in over a week. I try to avoid all discussions of intellectual concepts and to keep the conversation on a simple everyday level. But she just stared at me blankly and asked what I meant about the mathematical variance equivalent in Doberman's Fifth Concerto. When I tried to explain, she stopped me and laughed. I guess I got angry, but I suspect I'm approaching her on the wrong level. No matter what I try to discuss with her, I am unable to communicate. I must review Rostrad's equations on levels of semantic progression. I find that I don't communicate with people much anymore. Thank God for books and music and things I can think about. I'm alone in my apartment at Mrs. Flynn's boarding house most of the time and seldom speak to anybody. I think, again, this is really interesting because Charlie, now that he's intelligent, is actually less able to communicate with other people than he was before the operation. May 20th. I would not have noticed the new dishwasher, a boy of about 16, at the corner diner where I take my evening meals, if not for the incident of the broken dishes. They crashed to the floor, shattering and sending bits of white china under the tables. The boy stood there, dazed and frightened, holding the empty tray in his hand. The whistles and catcalls from the customers, the cries of, "Hey, there goes the profits, Mazel tov," and, "Well, he didn't work here very long," which invariably seems to follow the breaking of glass or dishware in a public restaurant, all seemed to confuse him. When the owner came to see what the excitement was about, the boy cowered, as if he expected to be struck, and threw up his arms as if to ward off the blow. All right, you dope," shouted the owner. "Don't just stand there. Get the broom and sweep up that mess." A broom, you idiot. It's in the kitchen. Sweep up all the pieces." The boy saw that he was not going to be punished. His frightened expression disappeared, and he smiled and hummed as he came back with the broom to sweep the floor. A few of the rowdier customers kept up the remarks, amusing themselves at his expense. "Hey, Sonny, over here, there's a nice piece behind you. Come on, do it again." "He's not so dumb. It's easier to break 'em than to wash 'em." As his vacant eyes moved across the crowd of amused onlookers, he slowly mirrored their smiles, and finally broke into an uncertain grin at the joke, which he obviously did not understand. I felt sick inside as I looked at his dull, vacuous smile, the wide, bright eyes of a child, uncertain but eager to please. They were laughing at him because he was mentally retarded. and I had been laughing at him too. Suddenly, I was furious at myself and all those who were smirking at him. I jumped up and shouted, "Shut up, leave him alone. It's not his fault he can't understand. He can't help what he is, but for God's sake, he's still a human being." The room grew silent. I cursed myself for losing control and creating a scene. I tried not to look at the boy as I paid my check and walked out without touching my food. I felt ashamed for both of us. I'm going to just write in the corner, obviously, that Charlie's making a connection between the dishwasher and his former self. I think it's really interesting the fact that he stands up for him but then feels ashamed. And that he says he feels ashamed for both of them. If you remember, one of our lessons was about how Charlie starts to realize that feeling of shame. So it's something that I keep hearing him say over and over, that he feels shamed, he feels ashamed. I think that those are emotions that are staying with him because he didn't feel them before the operation. How strange it is that people of honest feelings and sensibility, who would not take advantage of a man born without arms or legs or eyes, how such people think nothing of abusing a man born with low intelligence. It infuriated me to think that not too long ago, I, like this boy, had foolishly played the clown. And I had almost forgotten. I'd hidden the picture of old Charlie Gordon from myself, because now that I was intelligent, it was something that had to be pushed out of my mind. But today, in looking at that boy for the first time, I saw what I had been. I was just like him. Only a short time ago, I learned that people laughed at me. Now I can see that I joined in with them laughing at myself. That hurts most of all. I have often reread my progress reports and seen the illiteracy, the childish naivete, the mind of low intelligence peering from a dark room through the keyhole at the dazzling light outside. I see that even in my dullness, I knew that I was inferior, and that other people had something I lacked, something denied me. In my mental blindness, I thought that it was somehow connected with the ability to read and write, and I was sure that if I could get those skills, I would automatically have intelligence too. Even a feeble-minded man wants to be like other men. A child may not know how to feed itself or what to eat, yet it knows of hunger. I'm going to mark in the margins here that Charlie's starting to understand the difference between sort of intelligence and skills, where he's commenting on the difference. Where reading and writing does not make you intelligent, but rather your understanding of things. This, then, is what I was like. I never knew. Even with my gift of intellectual awareness, I never really knew. This day was good for me, seeing the past more clearly. I have decided to use my knowledge and skills to work in the field of increasing human intelligence levels. Who is better equipped for this work? Who else has lived in both worlds? These are my people. Let me use my gift to do something for them. Tomorrow I will discuss with Dr. Strauss the manner in which I can work in this area. I may be able to help him work out the problems of widespread use of the technique which was used on me. I have several good ideas of my own. There is so much that might be done with this technique. If I could be made into a genius, what about thousands of others like myself? What fantastic levels might be achieved by using this technique on normal people, on geniuses? There are so many doors to open. I am impatient to begin. I'm going to mark this as Charlie is deciding to do something to help. He's going to use his intelligence to help. So what I want you to make sure is that you have all these annotations and that you are filling in this chart for Progress Report 12 before moving on to Progress Report 13.